Another Sunday, another case of the Scaries to start your work week. Welcome to the newest edition of the Sunday Scaries. We have all your gore, lore, and more. Covering all the latest horror happenings, slicing open all the latest horror news, and dissecting it bit by bit, finding all those juicy innards. Pour that cup of coffee, and turn on your fright light while we take you on a tour of terror. And yes, we are fresh off our little early review of Slaughterhouse, where we had a little one of the rarities where we do not agree on something a little more so. But I think that variety kind of mixes it up a little bit. But overall, still an intriguing film. I mean, in terms of what they're bringing to the horror space, I think that, as well as Subject, we released early last week on Monday. Another intriguing film where I think there is no limit to how much uniqueness we get into the horror space.
Oh yeah, you know how it is. We're always trying to find those unique indie pictures. Things that may not get all the coverage in the world, at least to the big markets. But us horror fans, we're pretty much willing to give most anything a chance. And I think that's definitely one of the best parts, because it's like you get to see stuff that you never really know how it's going to pan out, which sometimes is good, sometimes is bad, but for the most part, it's always fun. I got to say, it's always a gamble, but it's always a gamble I'm willing to take when it comes to horror, because also it's like, as horror writers, and we're making our short films and things now. It's like it's always keeping us on our toes, keeping us inspired, making us think a little bit differently. Whether that's learning from something that didn't work for us, or whether that's being inspired by something that really did.
Absolutely. And it's like, I think the beauty of starting this podcast and of restarting this podcast and not really knowing where it was going to go, and, seeing a lot of films that maybe we wouldn't have made time for,
Mm-hmm.
because they kind of do get dropped in our lap. And it's like, well, whether we like them or not, I think taking out a grain of an idea to say, oh, I would have loved to expand it upon that, and kind of, as we're always creating our own unique horror properties, and kind of, injecting what we would have liked to have seen in a certain film, and kind of putting it into our own space and our own unique property. And I think that's really one of the big benefits here, because there are so many films, especially within the past few months, that I don't know if I would have had made the time to actually see. And it's like, now that we're getting certain films and being able to see them a little bit early, we're making the time. And it's like, just, going through from January to right now, all these different unique films that we've had the pleasure of being able to see. I mean, it's truly a gift, and it really shows how well the horror space is booming just here in 2023.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been crazy. I mean, if you would have told us last October, or even about this time last year, that we were going to be, inundated with screeners and other things. I know I keep teasing it. I think I've teased it the last two Sunday Scaries, but we have big announcements. They're coming. Again, I just want one more thing to confirm, but honestly, it's like, if we don't get something hard for that here within the next couple of days, we'll probably just go without it, and then just let you guys know when it happens. So,
Yeah.
because it's, I've kept you guys in too much suspense. And speaking of keeping things in suspense, why don't we hop into the news with honestly some pretty unfortunate news to start us off here. Luke, do you want to kick things off, since you are the WWE aficionado on the channel?
Absolutely. Yeah, some truly somber news here coming out of the wrestling world as well as the horror community. The passing of WWE superstar Bray Wyatt. This was something that I think caught everybody off guard. If you're close to the pro wrestling world, you know that hasn't been seen in a few months, but rumors were swirling that we were going to be seeing a return of Bray Wyatt soon enough. And then news broke on Thursday that Bray Wyatt had passed away. Right now, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed. I know it's taken as a heart attack so far. So I think that's what we're going with at this point. If it gets updated, we'll certainly talk about it a little bit more. But this is something that really caught me off guard. I mean, as we did Splatterthon last year. I had the pleasure of, deep diving into Bray Wyatt's career as the Fiend, and really living in that space for almost the entire month of October. And it's something where, you take a look at that video, you take a look at anything that Bray Wyatt has done. Um, you really understand his love for horror and storytelling, because he created such a unique character with the Fiend, as well as the Wyatt family and everything that he'd been doing up until that little break that he had and then his untimely passing. But it was just something that really caught us off guard. And it's something that I think, in a world of pro wrestling where everything's been done, he did spark a new kind of character. And I think that really just shows off Bray Wyatt's creativity.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest when it comes into the pro wrestling world. I grew up with it very sparingly. My dad's a big fan of pro wrestling. So it's like at least for a long time he was, and up through the mid 2000s. So like I grew up knowing a few people. Like I liked Batista. Like before he was even an actor, he was the wrestler that I kind of latched onto, and my dad would watch it. But it was just never something that like caught a hold of me as much. But since Luke and I became friends, and like 2016-ish, we this is something that I know is a big passion for you. And obviously, as we spend a lot of time together talking and doing podcasts and writing films together, wrestling is going to come up. So as that does, and as my hobbies and interests that aren't shared come up as well. So it's like I started to get a little bit more into the world of the WWE, and a lot of it is thanks to you. And this was something that you had mentioned him, I believe, a little bit before, especially with a particular script we were talking about. You used him as a reference, and then when you started working on that video last year, that's when I really took the deep dive. I waited for your video to come out, and then I kind of kept track of him. I kept following up with him just because I thought he was a really interesting guy. I liked his initiative. I liked what he was able to bring to it, and just a lot of respect for him as a creative and the passion that he brought from not just the wrestling aspect, but of course the horror. And this is just really tragic stuff. Because again, as somebody who's not well versed in it, I would say that he was probably, in the modern sense, my favorite wrestler at the time here. Because like, again, I'm not following anybody too deep, but like this was someone I followed a little bit, after your video, and it's just shocking, and it's something I did not expect. Like I said to you off air, I had a triple take when I saw the news. I when I scrolled past it at first, I was like, what? Like just I didn't get it. So when I talked to you, you had said that there had been, it kind of caught people off guard, but there had also been rumors of some health issues and things over the last year or so. And but everything from what I understand was this was still just a shock.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where I don't think you're ever prepared for, especially, I think, especially in the wrestling world, as you get older wrestlers who've retired, it's like, okay, well, not necessarily caught completely off guard, but he was still an active wrestler that was appearing on television, up until all these ailments and his little break there. But looking at the Fiend Bray Wyatt and the uniqueness of that character and just different facets that he brought, even if you're not a fan of pro wrestling, and that's one of the reasons why I did that video, was that I just kind of wanted to show off how in depth he thinks of this character and what he wanted to bring to it, and how steeped in horror that it really is, and the uniqueness of it. And I urge anyone who is not familiar with Bray Wyatt and is not really into pro wrestling, definitely look up some videos of the Firefly Funhouse, the Fiends, and just take it in, because it is something that's truly unique in a world where it's hard to come up with unique gimmicks and characters. It's something that I don't think we're ever going to see again. I think it's something that's going to be studied by horror fans, wrestling fans. It doesn't matter. I think he did cross over into that pop culture, and it's something that it's just so sad. It's I know I'm going to be watching his videos. I already do, but like going back and being able to study those, because it is something that you can really bring into the horror community as well. But yeah, I definitely urge anyone who hasn't seen it, go do a deep dive, fall down that rabbit hole, and just immerse yourself in some Bray Wyatt stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. And as again, somebody who's not as well versed as an outsider to maybe some of you who are listening who again aren't into the wrestling steam, it is a very interesting story. I love some of the interviews that I got to watch of him going through his process and just like the collaborative nature of not only his performances in the ring but also just like Luke said, what he brought to the Wyatt family and the Funhouse stuff. Like those are some great videos too. The little Funhouse like kind of bumpers that he did,
Yeah,
kind of bringing that character in. It's very creepy. You can tell there's a ton of references and a ton of just like inspirations that you can pull from a medley of different horror films. And yeah, it's good stuff, man. And this is seriously just absolutely still pretty shocking. I talked to a few people at work about it who I know are wrestling fans, and yeah, they were pretty shocked them in themselves. And I mean, to be 36, I mean that is so young. Like
yeah,
that is still just so young. But I mean, this is a cruel world. And we watch a lot of cruel shit by a lot of people's standards with our horror movies. But the one thing I can say that horror did was it opened my eyes to someone like Bray Wyatt, and I can say that is a positive and somebody that will definitely be referenced and at least have a special spot in my mind, considering that he played a big pivotal role in the first Splatterthon for us, and
yeah.
was early in this podcast, was something that I remember when you pitched me that video and just that idea, and I encouraged you to go forth with it because it was such a fun and unique idea. And unfortunately, the WWE decided to rip us a new asshole when we posted it. But I will be posting the video again here shortly, so that way everybody can hopefully see it, watch it, and just understand what an effect this guy has not only had on Luke here, but the channel as a whole. So
Absolutely. And it's something where, yeah, he's passed away, but again, go check out his things, his videos, his interviews, and allow his legacy to live on because it's something that's truly amazing.
absolutely. Alrighty, so now that we've paid our respects and we've gotten the somber stuff out of the way, why don't we, not to make a goofy, dumb transition here, but we are going to hop into our main stories now, with first talking about Killer Klowns from Outer Space, the game. Watch the bloody new Gamescom 2023 trailer. So yeah, we got a little bit of gameplay teaser footage here. Got to see a little bit of it. Obviously, I think they are trying to piggyback off of the massive success over the last weekend and over this last week with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game, which I have not gotten a chance to play yet, but I know we are lining some things up, changing some things behind the scenes here so that hopefully within the next few weeks, definitely at some point, if not before Splatterthon, during Splatterthon, Luke and I are going to sit down with maybe a couple of friends and do some live streams playing that for you guys. So, we want to get in there just as bad. But I think, that'll be a good testing ground for us because when this hits, I know we're going to have to hop on this probably the first night because Luke, if you don't know, if you're still new here, yeah, Luke's a massive Killer Klowns from Outer Space fan. This is his baby right here. This is one of his many twisted children.
Absolutely. And, looking at Killer Clowns, adding to that horror video game kind of transition where, we played some Friday the 13th. I definitely want to hop on that Texas Chainsaw Massacre train as well and take a look at that one. But, those for me, are kind of in a different compartment in a sense where it's like, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a little darker, it's more so realistic, whereas like looking at Killer Clowns, I mean, just looking at the gameplay footage here, I love the aesthetic that they're bringing. It really feels like it's translating from film to video game, and it's very vibrant. They have the cotton candy cocoons, which just look amazing, and then just some of the wackiness that they've put through here. with the lasers and everything, and some of the gore effects here. I think it looks very gory, and I love that they're not shying away from that, because this does look like a ton of fun. It looks like you can hop on here with a bunch of friends, and whether you're clowns or the patrons trying to survive, I think either way you're going to have a lot of fun. Just sitting down for hours and just seeing what ride this takes you on.
Absolutely. And, I like the approach that a lot of these asymmetrical horror games are going with, where it's no longer just a like 1v7 or a 1v5 kind of
Yeah.
thing. They're going more for groups, because that's a big highlight that a lot of people have said about Texas Chainsaw, that it seems like is being brought into this, is where it's a group of killers with a group of people. So, and I think that these games are still difficult to I guess get launched and get going. It's
Yeah.
always something that
There's always
I
going to be
think is,
bugs and
well, that, but it's also just from a content standpoint, you really have to have a game plan, just in mind of like how you're going to execute it and what you're going to do. And I mean, unfortunately for the Friday the 13th game, that kind of got kneecapped by the lawsuit and everything real early on. So it didn't get to continue with what they had planned. But I think that Texas Chainsaw has a good chance of standing up and keeping those wheels turning, as long as, again, you're putting a lot of content out there. I mean, we saw a lot of success with, even the Evil Dead game last year was
yeah.
a bright spot for this stuff. And, I think there is a market for these kind of games. I just really hope that Killer Klowns keeps the momentum going and they bring something more unique to it. It looks very stylized, looks very fun, but yeah, the name of the game with asymmetrical horror games is content. Bring it, make it frequent, and keep people coming back.
Yeah, and I think Killer Clowns has a great launching point where, you have that base of things that you're familiar with the Killer Clowns actual film itself, but once you establish that kind of lore, you don't really have to stay true to anything. You can bring new elements in that we've never seen before and kind of act this as more so a launching point. To if you ever wanted to get back to, I know there are rumors of creating another Killer Clown sequel. If you ever wanted to do that and add in new content, uniqueness to it, and kind of start making the video game your own rather than, Friday the 13th having to put, whatever installment, part 7, part 8, whatever in there, where it's like Killer Clowns is a great launching pad to just play, add new and different things, and kind of just make this video game its own thing. So that's really got me excited for what they're going to bring here. And I think, I think this is going to continue that, punch of the horror train being horror movies being turned into video games. I'm curious to see, down the line what else we're going to get next, because within so many horror properties can be translated so well into video games, and with horror video gaming with unique properties being such a booming business, I can only see a lot of different franchises or just horror films in general being translated into video games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of potential. But alrighty, why don't we hop off from here and go into our next story, which the last few stories here, folks, it was Trailer City this week.
It
We got
was.
a lot of trailers for a lot of upcoming properties we were very excited about. We're going to kick things off, of course, with Creepshow Season 4. This is right at the top of the week. This is one of the bigger stories, showing off some really cool creature effects, some really cool ideas. This is just awesome. I love the poster that they use for this. I haven't kept up too deeply with this. This is a series that I tend to go back to, every few months and watch a couple episodes. I think I'm still in like season 2 right now, maybe about to finish that up. But it is a series that they do stay very true to the franchise, if you will. As someone who owns now all 3 of the Creepshow movies, with that third one being an absolute dumpster fire that I won't open, but I'm keeping sealed. But it is one of those things where it's like, this is a wonderful series, and I'm so happy to see it coming back for its 4th season.
Yeah, I'm like you. I've watched episodes here and there. I've never fully committed, but it's something I definitely want to sit down whenever we have the time and kind of dissect, especially for like a primetime terrors or something like that. I know our October's probably going to be eaten up. I know this starts, October 13th, I think.
I
So
believe so, yeah.
I definitely want to sit down and try to catch at least a couple of episodes for season 4 here, because it is such a, you know, I love the first and second one. Haven't seen the third. Don't really have any interest in seeing that third one, but I'm so glad. I remember when this being, announced that Creepshow was coming back on Shudder, and it was like, oh, well, that's such a property that you can keep going and going and going. And I'm so excited that we're still talking about it, and they didn't just shelf it after 2 seasons and say we're done. But the trailer for season 4 here definitely has me intrigued. I kept going back at the very beginning. I don't know if that's a werewolf or not, but I was trying to see the best that I could. If it was, I don't know if it's just a monster or not, but I was like, I'm hoping for some more werewolf content. There's a great werewolf story, I think, in season 1.
There is, yeah.
So I'm curious to see what they're going to bring. I'm curious, again, this thing here, which is a monster of some sort, it looks really compelling to me. A lot of, like Dylan said, a lot of great practical stuff going on in just that little trailer that they do give us. So, I definitely want to catch some of the stuff during the Halloween season. Because I think they're pretty digestible episodes. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
What they usually tell 2 stories, I think. At least that
Mhm.
was how the first season was. So, pretty digestible storytelling here. And again, a lot of unique voices in here. It's like you can tell that self-contained story, and kind of, not overly explain too much of anything in the story. Just kind of let you live in that horror space. And plus, Tom Atkins shows up.
I was about to say, if you didn't bring it up, I was going to go right into it. Yeah, Tom Atkins is in this season. I'm going to definitely at least check that out and this monster episode probably when they premiere, if I remember. Because, I'm intrigued to see what that is. When I saw this initially, I was trying to get a good look at it, too, in the trailer and be like, is this like the crate monster after being stuck in the water for so long? But no, it looks like it's something wholly original. But yeah, no, I would love to bring Fluffy back at some
Absolutely.
point and just see what they could do with him. Creepshow, the first film, it has such a special place in my heart. It was the very first rated R film I ever watched, that'll always go down in my mind as something right there. And I gotta say, I absolutely love this series. Again, it's something that I just kind of take my time with. I don't try to burn through it. It's whenever I get a hankering for some new Creepshow content, I watch this, and then I do tend to throw on the original and at least Creepshow too, or at least segments from them. So I do enjoy this, even though I haven't been through all of it. I have my little special time and my special place for Creepshow.
Absolutely. And it's, going back to those first 2 films, I mean, I love me a good horror anthology. So, being able to just turn those on and watch little segments. And from what I've seen from the TV show, it seems really in line with those first 2 films, with
Mhm.
the fun storytelling. It's something that it'll scare you, but it's also light and fun, I think, in a sense.
Yeah.
So, I think this usually, like we said, we don't follow this regularly, but I think this is usually released around Halloween because I do think we talked about it last year as well, while we were planning Splatterthon. So it's great that they make this an annual thing of bringing it back to make sure our horror fans are have that appetite for the little storytelling. I think it's a great thing. I'm glad that we're trucking along here with season 4. And hopefully in a year we're talking about season 5 because this trailer here, again, like I said, looks like a lot of great stories in here, some compelling stuff. So I cannot wait for the October season or Halloween season, the October month, and check some of these stories out.
Absolutely. And then let's get into our next story here, which is something we're going to be covering very soon here. I think the plan right now, we're recording this on a Friday. As long as everything goes well, you guys should see our review for this later today. But we are going to be talking about the latest Australian horror flick, which, we just covered Subject, which is, of course, an Australian horror flick. But they are back again a week later with Beaten to Death, which for you guys, you have to wait until obviously September 1st to check this thing out in select cinemas. But yes, we were blessed by the folks over at Welcome Villain who have given us a screener, which I think after I tie up some loose ends here this evening, I'm going to go up and watch. This was something that they had announced to us I want to say like, God, almost 6 months ago now. It was real. It was just after Malum had come out. Welcome Villains sent out an email to the people they want to cover their stuff, saying, "Hey, we've acquired this film. It's gonna be It's gonna be coming out this summer." And then we didn't hear anything about it, so I was concerned that it was getting pushed back or something was going on with it. And then suddenly they're like, "Hey guys, yeah, it is coming. Don't worry. You can request your screeners and everything now, but here's some stuff." And if you guys follow us on social media, you know that I blasted out this wonderful creation from, of course, Creepy Duck. Yes, I love that the Creepy Duck is getting the opportunity to make official posters for some of these, but
Never disappoints.
absolutely, dude. I mean, even his stuff that he just does pro bono for just like because he wants to is just fantastic. I'd love to get him on to interview him someday and just talk about his process. But I mean, this poster is amazing, and this trailer is intense as hell. Like, I am very, very much looking forward to this. This feels very Wolf Creek and stuff like that. Like, I just went through those films over the summer here. I really want to see the series, but I can't find it streaming anywhere. But it is one of those things where this feels very in line with that. And I'm so excited to see what gory monstrosity they have cooked up for us at Welcome Villain.
Yeah, that trailer definitely sticks with you. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely make some time and watch that trailer for Beaten to Death because, man, talk about brutality. This just has a grit to it that I'm absolutely excited for. Like Dylan mentioned, Wolf Creek, it really has that feel that I feel like this is going to be something where by the end of it you're going to be wanting to tap out because it is such a brutal film. But I'm really excited for it. We talked to Tristan Barr and we ended up starting with subject and then talking about just kind of Australian horror in general and man, I kept bringing up the word flavor, and it does definitely has that Australian flavor to it. And it's like watching this, it almost feels like with Australian horror that you're stepping into another world. And I think, just from seeing the little tidbits in the trailer here, they're really making use of just the landscape in general. Some of the shots in here are already so beautiful and so disturbing. I'm really excited to see where this is going to go. Some of the performances already look intriguing. I mean, they're really, you're really turning this one up to 100, and just the way this trailer starts is already absolutely brutal. So if that's what they're showing in the trailer, I can't wait to see where this actual film's going to go. I think this was, from our perspective, they usually put the run times. I think this is about an hour 30 or something. So
Yeah.
I don't know 100%, but I think it's around there. I think this is going to be an absolute thrill ride from the very beginnings of this. From what it looks like, we're starting in in that brutality and kind of working our way back and getting glimpses of what the actual story is. So I'm really excited for this one. I think this is going to be another film that sticks with us. We've had Talk to Me, we've had Subject. Now we're going to have Beaten to Death. So I think 2023, at least for the last month and a half, is really shaping up perfect for Australian horror. So Welcome Villain, they don't disappoint. Malum, still got to pick up that 4K. I'm really excited for this one. I can't wait to see it. The trailer absolutely sold me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's brutal. It's gross, and I am ready for some more Australian bloodbaths. But yes, to kind of keep things moving and keep things going through here with our last story, once again, another trailer, and we're talking about another film that we so graciously obtained another screener for, and you'll be getting a review very soon, is BlackMold, which I know this was kind of around that same time that Beaten to Death had been announced. That this was right around there. I know this one had its debut at Panic Fest, as they say here, and that's when this one got picked up. And this was very intriguing just from the concept alone. And it's from the same studio that picked up Brooklyn 45, which I got to cover and I enjoyed immensely. I thought that was a very well done film. And I'm intrigued. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what this is really going for from the trailer. It gives you a lot of really neat imagery, But from everything that I've heard is that this is an unexpected thrill ride. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I definitely, again, like we said at the start here, I love these kind of independent, off the beaten path horror films that, you know, are just coming out of nowhere, it seems. And then we're able to check them out and give our thoughts, because like this is just something that I feel like might slip under some people's radars, but I'm really hoping it kills it, and that we can enjoy it, and then hopefully a lot more people check it out, because this trailer was great. This was a really, unlike Beaten to Death was a good trailer, but it puts everything up front. This is pure mystery. Like, I have no clue what this is about.
Yeah, and I did read the little synopsis there of, I think, our two characters either go into an abandoned hospital or something for some sort of artistic venture, and they run into, I believe it's a homeless man played by Jeremy Holm, and he will not let them leave. And I'm curious to see, where this is going to go, because I think this also deals with some sort of childhood trauma that you can kind of see in the in that trailer that they do give. So I'm curious to see what the story here is going to entail, because they throw a lot at you in that trailer, and I don't know what avenue they're going to go down. It seems like it's pretty psychological for the most part, so I'm curious to see how many where we're going to jump from character to character here, but it definitely has my intrigue as well. I love the aesthetic that they're bringing here. Again, very high production value, it seems, at least from that trailer, which I was surprised about. So I really want to see uh, where this is going to go. Jeremy Holm, I did see he's in The Ranger, which I believe is a Shudder exclusive from a few years ago. Played a great villain in that. So if he's going to be the kind of main antagonist here, I'm definitely excited to see what he's going to bring, because he doesn't disappoint with his performances. And I just want to see, they have this screenshot here. I'm curious to see what this is all about, because I do believe in the trailer that they're moving. So I'm curious to see, what exactly they're going to bring here. Again, it seems very psychological, but it also seems like there's, again, an antagonist that we're going to be dealing with. And again, the title BlackMold, I don't know where they're going to go. So it's a big question mark for me, but I'm definitely excited to check this one out, because I think this could be a sleeper for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what this brings. Again, like you said, it looks very psychological, very much one of those films that is going to probably twist and turn a lot. And yeah, I mean, it's gotten nothing but great reviews and a lot of praise coming out of Panic Fest. And yeah, I'm really intrigued by this one. And yeah, I cannot wait to sit down and check it out. I think there is an embargo on this one. I'm gonna double check, but I'll give you guys somewhat of a timeline here as far as when you can expect our review. But I don't think you have very long to wait. I think
I
this
don't think
one
so either.
is yeah, this one will be there shortly. Yeah, actually, they didn't mention anything about it. I will have to get
That's what I
back to
thought.
us on
Yeah.
that. But yeah, no, I think that this is something that hopefully will satisfy that kind of psychological horror itch. And if this doesn't, subject probably will. So definitely, again, check that out. We had a lot of fun with that. Seems like you guys are responding really well to that review. But alrighty, guys, that's gonna wrap us up here for this week's Sunday Scaries. Yeah, lots of trailers again. As we're going through the news, like it was Trailer City this week. Lots of good stuff, lots of stuff that we're gonna get to be actually give our thoughts and opinions on really soon. And yeah, lots of great stuff on the channel too. So definitely keep your eyes peeled, because yeah, Luke, we've been just busy, busy bees.
Oh man, and it's not stopping anytime soon. I mean, we have some, like Dylan said, some pretty big announcements coming down the pipeline, and then we're heading right into Splatterthon. So we're not getting a break for a while, buddy. But
No.
it's definitely definitely a fun time to be living in the horror space. To bring it back from a lot of these unique films. I mean, what we're getting established properties with Creepshow, Killer Klowns video game, and then I mean, Beaten to Death and BlackMold, just adding to these unique horror properties that may have flew under our radar if we weren't doing this.
Absolutely. And hopefully we can bring them up on your radar and you guys will check them out, if they make the cut. Either way, we like to support independent film and independent horror. So, even if you want to wait for our review, definitely check out and see at least if you can find Beaten to Death in a theater near you. And yeah, definitely keep an eye out. Like I said, I'm going to try to get that review up later today. And yeah, that's going to wrap us up for this week's Sunday Scaries. But yeah, on the channel, we do have a lot of current reviews. Like we said, Slaughterhouse, Subject, as we've been talking about, very great on Screambox. And we'll have more Screambox content coming up here shortly as well. And yeah, just keep your eyes peeled. We have a lot of great stuff going on. Oh, and it should be up by now, but we also have our interview with the folks running the Akron Independent Horror Film Festival, the festival that our film Sycophant is a part of, which is also going to be in the update and news. So keep your eyes peeled. Lots of stuff on the channel now, lots of stuff to come. And yeah, I guess that about wraps us up. So until next time, I am Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.